Welcome to ComfortTV.channel news, where we bring you verified and balanced news from Nigeria and around the world. My name is Faith Gabon. Thank you for joining us. In the headlines, Minister Wike blasts ex-army chief over comments on clash with naval officer. Federal court orders former AGF to face 1.96 billion naira money laundering charge. President Tinubu reappoints Brigadier General Marwa as NDLEA chair. Governor Okpebholo pledges to deliver 2.5 million votes for President Tinubu in 2027. India High Commission Cardiff hosts film screening in Abuja. Nigeria to serve as pilot country for G20 health financing integration. On business news, NSITF injects 1 billion naira into economy through workers' compensation payouts. RMAFC chairman pledges continued support for oil, gas host communities. On the foreign scene, President Trump's administration seeks legal immunity for Caribbean strikes. UN rights chief warns of imminent mass atrocities in Sudan's El Fasher. On sports, former presidential aspirants praise Super Eagles after 4-1 win over Gabon. Newcastle joined Real Madrid and Barcelona in pursuit of Dutch midfielder Kees Smith. Now the news. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory FCT, Honorable Nyesom Wike, has faulted what he described as a deliberate misinterpretation of his confrontation with naval personnel led by Lieutenant A.M. Yerima. Speaking at his residence in Life Camp, Minister Wike dismissed comments by former Chief of Army Staff General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, who accused him of endangering national security and undermining President Bola Tinubu. Minister Wike said General Buratai's position was baseless and insisted that the retired general lacked the moral authority to lecture him on proper conduct. He also rejected General Buratai's call for him to apologize to Lieutenant Yerima over a clash in Abuja's Gadua district, saying the officer acted improperly during the disagreement. The minister criticized Lieutenant Yerima for enforcing what he described as an unlawful directive regarding a disputed land allegedly linked to former Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Awad Gambo. He said the land was illegally acquired and that the FCT administration acted within its mandate. Minister Wike insisted that the naval officer violated established regulations, adding that security operatives must respect civil authority and the rule of law. He said he had no regrets for unsettling his political opponents in any party, and no regrets about supporting President Tinubu, and would continue to act in accordance with the law. The FCT minister also faulted Lieutenant Yerima's conduct, saying the officer failed to accord him respect as a minister representing the president. Minister Wike said every individual, regardless of position, must respect the rule of law. A federal high court in Abuja has ruled that former acting accountant general of the Federation, Mr. Anamekwe Nwaboku, must face trial in connection with allegations of money laundering involving approximately 1.96 billion naira from the National Treasury. The court dismissed no case submission filed by the defendant, which sought to have him discharged and acquitted before the trial could proceed. The decision follows the presentation of evidence by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), including testimonies from 9 witnesses, which the court deemed sufficient to establish a prima facie case against Mr. Nwaboku. The court determined that the material and witness evidence provided by the prosecution required responses from the former AGF, who now has the opportunity to defend himself and address the allegations formally. Justice James Omotosho, presiding over the case, sets new dates for the trial, directing that Mr. Nwaboku opens his defense on November 24. Additional sittings were scheduled for November 25 and December 9 to allow the proceedings to continue in an orderly manner. The adjournments were granted following a request from the defendant to prepare his defense adequately, ensuring he has the opportunity to present his side of the case in line with his constitutional rights. The case centers on allegations that Mr. Nwaboku misappropriated funds amounting to nearly 2 billion naira during his tenure as acting accountant general. The EFCC presented documents and financial records intended to show the transactions and the alleged connection to the former AGF to the diversion of public funds. The court's ruling emphasizes the principle that a defendant is entitled to a fair trial and must have the opportunity to respond to the allegations. The scheduling of the defense phase marks a significant step in the progression of the high-profile case, which has attracted public and media attention due to the substantial amount of money involved and the prominence of the former AGF in the nation's financial management. President Bola Tinubu has renewed the appointment of Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, as chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency for another 5-year term. The State House confirmed on Friday Brigadier General Marwa, who was first appointed by former President Muhammadu Buhari in January 2021, will now remain at the helm of the agency until 2031. Prior to his NDLEA tenure, he served as chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee for the Elimination of Drug Abuse from 2018 to December 2020. The announcement was confirmed by Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, in a press statement. According to the statement, Brigadier General Marwa brings decades of experience to the role. A graduate of the Nigerian Military School and the Nigerian Defense Academy, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1973 and went on to serve as Brigade Major of the 23 Armored Brigade, aide-de-camp ADC to the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Theophilus Danjuma, and academic registrar of the Nigerian Defense Academy. He also served abroad as Deputy Defense Advisor in the Nigerian Embassy in Washington, D.C., and later as Defense Advisor to the Nigerian Permanent Mission to the United Nations. Governor Monday Okpebholo of Edo State has called on the Muslim community in the state to continue their prayers and support for President Bola Tinubu's administration ahead of the 2027 general election. Speaking at a special Walima event in Benin, marking his first year in office, the governor urged residents to back the president's reform agenda and maintain unity across religious and social lines. Governor Okpebholo highlighted the achievements of his administrations over the past year, stressing that governance in Edo is guided by competence and all the collective interest of all citizens rather than personal or sectional ambitions. He reaffirmed his commitment to ensuring the prosperity of the state and maintaining collaboration with religious and traditional leaders throughout Edo. In a clear political message, the governor pledged to deliver a substantial vote for President Tinubu, estimating that 2.5 million votes will be secured in the 2027 election. Governor Okpebholo also expressed his ongoing solidarity with the Muslim community, promising continued engagement and responsiveness to their concerns. He called for prayers and collective support to strengthen governance and unity in Edo State. The High Commission of India in Abuja, in collaboration with the Kaduna International Film Festival, Cardiff, organized a special short movie screening and panel discussion at the Chancery premises. The event, inaugurated by the High Commissioner, Ambassador Abhishek Singh, brought together a vibrant cross-section of participants from the diplomatic community, including heads of mission, members of the Nollywood fraternity, film professionals, cultural enthusiasts, influencers, and friends of India. It featured the screening of 2 short films, the Indian production Good Morning and the Nigerian film Not So Long a Letter. A panel discussion followed on the theme Celebration of Our Rich Cultural Heritage and the Need for Collaboration. Panelists included journalist Swat Dunia Adalumo, filmmaker Dr. Ahmed Sarari, actor Mr. Francis Duru, and actress Mrs. Stephnora Okereke. They exchanged insights on how cinema can deepen mutual understanding, promote cross-cultural narratives, and foster creative partnership between the Indian and Nigerian film industries. The High Commissioner announced that the High Commission will soon launch a signature event titled Bollywood and Yamarita, which will feature scenes, screenings of Bollywood blockbusters alongside Nigerian cuisine. Ambassador Singh also recalled the success of Namaste Wahala, a cross-cultural love story produced by Hamisha Daryani in Lagos, and his series Podcasts, which premiered in 2024. The envoy highlighted the Program of Culture, Cooperation and Exchanges (POCC) signed during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 2024 visa to Nigeria, noting that an MOU on film co-production is under consideration for both countries. Nigeria has been chosen as one of the pilot countries for the integration of health financing under the G20 partnership, the African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Africa CDC, announced. Director General Dr. Jean Kaseya revealed the decision during the second day of the 2025 Joint Annual Review of the Health Sector in Abuja, which focused on strengthening the nation's health system. The G20 Health Financing Integration Plan is designed to support countries in expanding funding for pandemic preparedness, universal health coverage, sustainable health financing, and science and innovation to drive both health and economic development. The initiative prioritizes equitable, resilient health systems with a particular emphasis on primary health care as a cost-effective model for improving physical and mental challenges and mental health and responding to emergencies. Dr. Kaseya commended Nigeria's ongoing reforms, highlighting the sector-wide approach, digital payroll systems, and enhanced private sector participation as examples of effective governance and accountability in health spending. He noted that Nigeria's model demonstrates how strong political will and evidence-based planning can reduce reliance on foreign aid and promote sustainable development. This is ComfortTV.channel news. We'll return shortly with business, foreign, and sports news. Many thanks for staying tuned to ComfortTV.channel news. In the world of business, the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund NSITF has disbursed 1 billion naira to workers affected by workplace accidents and occupational hazards, providing a financial lifeline to households and supporting economic stability. The announcement was made during the Lagos International Trade Fair by the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the NSITF, Mr. Oluwaseun Mayomi Faleye, who was represented at the event by Mrs. Nkiru Ede Ogunaike. The payouts made under the Employees Compensation Scheme ECS are part of the fund's statutory obligations and reflect its growing role in Nigeria's social protection framework. The NSITF emphasized that these payments are not acts of charity but mechanisms of justice and empowerment that ensure stability for families, liquidity for the economy, and confidence for the nation's workforce. The disbursed funds cover cases across diverse sectors including oil and gas, manufacturing, finance, and public service, demonstrating the scheme's broad reach. Speaking on the partnership between NSITF and the private sector, the president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry LCCI, Mr. Gabriel Idahosa, commended the fund for its commitment to supporting businesses and workers, particularly in the context of the Lagos International Trade Fair. Still on business, the chairman of the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, RMAFC, Dr. Mohammed Bello Shehu, has reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to ensuring that host communities in Nigeria's oil and gas producing areas receive fair and transparent benefits in line with constitutional provisions. Dr. Shehu stated this when he received a delegation from the host communities of Nigeria producing oil and gas, HOSCON, led by its chairman, Prisk Michael Emu, at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. Welcoming the delegation, Dr. Shehu commended HOSCON for its peaceful and consultative approach towards addressing issues of resource allocation and environmental justice in oil-producing areas. Also speaking, Federal Commissioner representing Abia State, Honorable Nkechi Oti, charged the host communities to protect the projects executed by the state government from the fund so as to safeguard them from vandalization. The Secretary to the Commission, Engineer Joseph Okechukwunweze, reaffirmed RMAFC's commitment to fairness and transparency while giving the assurance that the advocacy efforts of the host communities will not be in vain. He advised the group to submit a memorandum of the National Assembly proposing a constitutional management framework for the 13% derivation, noting that once such a framework is embedded in the Constitution, it becomes mandatory for all state governments to comply. On the foreign scene, the U.S. Department of Justice has issued a legal opinion asserting that American military personnel involved in strikes off the coast of Latin America are immune from persecution. The moves relate to a series of attacks on boats in the Caribbean, which U.S. authorities say targeted alleged drug traffickers and unlawful combatants with ties to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Reports indicate at least 76 people were killed in 19 attacks, but U.S. officials have provided no evidence linking the victims to drug trafficking. The strikes have drawn criticism from European allies, with Britain halting intelligence sharing on drug operations and France warning the attacks breach international law. Venezuela condemned the actions as a disinformation campaign, calling the U.S. claims of weapons programs false and asserting that the country poses no threat. Meanwhile, the U.S. has deployed 8 warships, a submarine, and over 16,000 troops to the region, citing insufficient anti-drug measures by Caracas. The legal opinion is part of an effort by President Trump's administration to shield U.S. personnel from liability while continuing military operations in the Caribbean. UN Rights Chief Mr. Volker Turk has warned of escalating atrocities in and around El Fasher, the capital of Sudan's North Darfur state, urging the international community to take immediate and decisive action to protect civilians trapped by months of fighting. Addressing the 38th special session of the Human Rights Council on Sudan, Mr. Turk said the violence unfolding in the city includes some of the gravest crimes imaginable, with mounting evidence of mass starvation, sexual violence, targeted killings, and the destruction of essential services. He accused the Sudanese Armed Forces SAF and the Rapid Support Force RSF of deliberately blocking humanitarian access and attacking medical facilities, humanitarian workers, and vital infrastructure. The chief said satellite imagery and eyewitness accounts point to a deliberate campaign of cruelty designed to subjugate and control civilians. Calling the situation a display of naked brutality, he urged UN member states to ensure immediate humanitarian access, impose targeted measures on individuals and networks financing or enabling the violence, and press for urgent cessation of hostilities. UN Special Advisor Mr. Adama Dieng warned that Sudan was experiencing a human rights and humanitarian catastrophe as fighting between SAF and RSF forces drives millions from their homes. He added that rising hate speech and ethnically motivated violence risk pushing the conflict into even more serious atrocity crimes. Mr. Dieng said civilians in several areas have been left without access to water, food, or health care. The special advisor called for the protection of civilians, the restoration of basic services, unrestricted humanitarian access, and inclusive political dialogue aligned with the African Union's Silencing the Guns initiative. The bloody conflict between the Sudanese army and the RSF began in April 2023 and has killed thousands of people and displaced millions of others. On sports, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and ex-Anambra Governor Peter Obi have lauded Nigerian Super Eagles following their 4-1 victory over Gabon in the 2026 CAF World Cup playoffs. The win, secured at the Mulay Hassan Stadium, saw Nigeria advance to the playoff match with goals from Akor Adams, Chidera Ejuke, and a brace from Victor Osimhen. Alhaji Abubakar expressed pride in the team on his official X account, noting that the Super Eagles had given Nigeria a fighting chance in the 2026 World Cup Africa Playoff Final. Mr. Obi also commended the squad, highlighting the importance of investing in talent and supporting national institutions. He described the victory as a reminder that Nigeria can compete and win on the global stage when its talents are nurtured. Minister of Foreign Affairs Alhaji Yusuf Tugar praised the team for their discipline and resilience, emphasizing their strong finish. Fans have taken to social media to celebrate the team's performance, with many noting the technical skill, hunger, and control demonstrated by the players. The Super Eagles are now set to face the Democratic Republic of Congo on Sunday in the final African playoff. The winner of that match will progress to a six-nation FIFA Intercontinental Tournament in March, keeping Nigeria's hopes alive for the 2026 World Cup. Newcastle United have reportedly entered the race to sign 19-year-old Dutch midfielder Kees Smit, who has been attracting attention from European heavyweights Real Madrid and Barcelona. The move comes as Newcastle look to strengthen their squad amid a disappointing start to the Premier League season, having won only 3 of their first 11 games. Smith, currently playing for AZ Alkmaar, has drawn comparison to Kevin De Bruyne and Barcelona star Pedri for his vision, positioning and decision-making under pressure. Netherlands manager Ronald Koeman praised the youngsters' ability to receive the ball in tight spaces and advance play, highlighting why top clubs are monitoring his progress. Newcastle sporting director Ross Wilson is reportedly targeting Smith ahead of the January transfer window, aiming to bolster a midfield that has struggled this season. The teenager, valued at around £20 million, could represent a significant bargain for the Magpies if they secure his signature. And that's our news bulletin this evening. But before we go, here is a recap of our top stories. Minister Wike blasts ex-army chief over comments on clash with naval officer. Federal court orders former AGF to face £1.96 billion money laundering charge. President Tinubu reappoints Brigadier General Marwa as NDLEA chair. Governor Okpebholo pledges to deliver 2.5 million votes for President Tinubu in 2027. India High Commission Cardiff hosts film screening in Abuja. Nigeria to serve as pilot country for G20 health financing integration. On business, NSITF injects £1 billion into economy through workers' compensation payouts. RMAFC chairman pledges continued support for oil and gas host communities. On foreign, President Trump administration seeks legal immunity for Caribbean strikes. And on sports, former presidential aspirants praise Super Eagles after 4-1 win over Gabon. Thanks for watching. For breaking news, exclusive interviews and more, follow us online at ComfortTV.channel on all platforms. Remember to like and share our videos, subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on future updates. My name is Faith Kevin. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected.